Welcome back to Satisfactory, or I guess technically what I should say is probably going to be the end of Satisfactory, and also probably going to double as a world tour finally, because this is going to be the last episode, and I've been wanting to do a world tour for quite a long time, but unfortunately I never made a video where I updated you all with fixing up the alien power matrices. It's still fixing itself a bit, but it's like 99% stable now. And as you can see on the to-do list, or technically on the side of the screen, it took a lot of work. And it's so much that I gave up on making a video for it, so I'm just going to include it into the start of this video. That's everything I had to do to fix up the alien power matrices after finishing the production, which was a lot. And there's still a couple more touch-ups I want to do eventually, but for the time being, it's good enough, and it's the end of the year. I'm probably not going to work on the save much more, so I think it's a good time for a world tour. And I guess since we're already up here, let's just start right at the hub. The hub is right up here at the top of the main base. It's pretty simple. It's been here basically since the start. I'll show the actual full main base later, but this is the roof of the main base. You got the hub in the basically center of it at the front, with however many days at this point, I don't even know, 730 days since last death, which is never. I have basically done a hardcore run, which is actually kind of impressive. Then you got my storage system, because I'm old and I didn't get with the times. I do have depots, which are hidden in the floor, which is the best way I could find of putting them. These just conveyor lifts just go straight to... Why is this one at the completely wrong spot? Oh, right, because I needed more concrete or something. That's just a temporary fix that I never fixed. But it's a pretty simple design. Unfortunately, it's not as dark in here as it should be. No, I do have lumen. Okay, well, these supports in the end here aren't supposed to be visible. It's supposed to be darker in here, but for some reason it's way brighter than it should be. But point is, this is just a simple storage room with a bunch of containers. They are doubled up, as you can see, which means you can have a full 2,400 per minute filling back in if you wish for an entire containers full. So if you just go in a container and do take all and take the entire thing, it refills drastically faster than if it was just a production line hooked up directly. And then I have my SAM stuff isolated over here. Still needs a few patching ups to be done to it, but this is the kind of save game that's never truly done. And then you have these wonderful curved stairs, which took me quite a bit of work with the good old-fashioned just label signs as neon. This is probably my favorite thing I've built in this game so far, are these stairs. Like, in the 1,700 hours of play this game, I think those curved stairs are like my best creation, which is saying a lot considering some of the abominations you can see in the background here that I have built. And then you have my 3 pioneering statues. I just put them up here with the view because why not? And then you have the pièce de résistance, aka the 6 alien power matrices. That's what they're even called. No, the power augmenters, with full alien power matrices in all 6 of them, making like 500,000 power boosts. 500,000 megawatts of power boost. With the main staircase coming up to the space elevator, which is now utterly useless since I have obviously finished the game. Outside of that, this roof is pretty empty and uneventful. Quite frankly, I don't have anything to put up here, so it just kind of stays like this. It's really awkward to look at it from this side. I mean, I'm sure I could decorate it in some ways, but I feel like just leaving it up empty for possible future activities is kind of more fun. You never know, I might want to do something else, but you never know what kind of content might get added to the game. Outside of that, that's basically the entire roof. That's pretty much it. There's a hypertube cannon, but it doesn't work, and it's just kind of there as a joke that I wanted to try it, and I never removed it because it's a big pain to delete. And I have the awesome sync machine set up that I had used to get the 1,000 tickets for the golden, the golden nut statue and all that stuff. But I've just left it here in case I ever want to use it, but I haven't used it at all recently, so it doesn't get used much anymore. Outside of that, for the hub, I just have a bunch of just quality of life resources. I have a bunch of extra gear, a bit of ammo, just general stuff that could come in handy, especially for multiplayer. If I just ever want to give a tour to one of my friends, they can just pop in, grab something, and then just leave immediately. Now comes the question, where do I want to even go next? I guess let's just do the entire inside of the base, going from top down. If we go down a floor, I mean, realistically, you should go from bottom to top, but let's just go top down since that's basically what I'm doing. This is what I like to call the storage room maintenance area, and with that for a good reason, because the storage room is right up there, and it has a lot of belts managing it. These are all smart splitters doing overflow and then re-merging. These are all smart splitters that are merging things back in if you empty out your inventory. And then all these awesome sinks are shredding excess production whenever the storages are full, making a crap ton of coupons. As you can see, there's just 45 sitting right here, with like an average of like 2.5 to 3 million points per minute, which is pretty solid for a passive points production. Outside of that, this room doesn't have much going for it other than some decorative staircases, and overall looking quite nice, I think, for being basically just a useless room. And I have a wire to disable all of these awesome sinks if I wish, so I just cut this wire and I can just disable all of the awesome sinks at once and they just stop being powered, which is incredibly nice. Outside of that, there's nothing in this room. It's just a slight view down below and not much else. Just seeing how you just got a sneak peek, here is the upper lift, which is all of the belts going up to the storage room, merging back from a lower floor. There is a lot of them, and they all merge back to their respective locations, going under this little hidden in the darkness bridge. And it's just a bunch of belts. There's really nothing eventful here other than it looks freaking epic. And the reason this exists is because of the floor below it. Now, unfortunately, this floor, if I can hit the right buttons, is not finished. This floor is not done, to say the least. This is a showcase floor, which unfortunately I never really finished, and I probably won't, but the idea remains, and it still looks pretty freaking epic. I definitely would love to at least finish it, like, correct all the little holes and gaps and missing things, even if I don't fill it up with stuff. But this is a room that was supposed to have basically every single item in the game. At least all of the non-limited time and just, like, obtainable within reason items in the game, you know? So as you can see here, you have a bunch of tools, and all of these are full too, by the way. So it was to have a full industrial container of every item in the game. You can see if I come up here, it's just all full of ammo. This one's not quite full because I didn't manage to fill all of these. But you get the idea. You got regular Nobilis, stuff like that. It has a lot of items, but it's not all of them, and I haven't been working on it in a very long time. So, unfortunately, it probably will never be finished. But you can see the idea, and I think it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, like, large area in this base, if I would have finished it. I think it goes to second place because I never finished it. But if I would have finished it, it would have been my, like, #1 favorite area. And the entire idea of this area just came from, I want a giant room that looks impressive as you're going up the elevators. Now, since we came down, it wasn't quite nearly as impressive. But my entire goal for this room was just to be shock value when going somewhere else. So while going up the elevator, just seeing this giant room just appear from the depths and just seeing this giant thing, just giant open room to show truly the scale of this base was my entire goal. And I think repurposing it into a showcase room really kind of fit the, like, filled in the theme, fully finishing it. To be honest, the only downside is that I would have liked, like, drop-down lighting. But unfortunately, because of how the game works, that would have been insanely difficult to do, so instead I just stayed content with billboard ceiling lights, which, outside of visual glitches, it gets the job done. You're not really supposed to build at this large of a scale, so considering the limitations, this is good. And especially considering my artistic skills, which are pretty low compared to some of the crazy things some people can build in this game. But yeah, next up you have this floor, which is pure function, zero aesthetics for the most part. No, in all seriousness, I do kind of want to give this place an artistic makeover at some point. But it's kind of just a unrealizable dream more than an actual expectancy. As you can see, I've done the floors since the last time you saw this place. It's like you've seen this place. I did asphalt foundations and coated concrete mix down there on like main floor level. But outside of that, decorating this place artistically has been more of a delusion. But this is one of the other huge projects, and this is all just towards the Alien Power Matrix production. This area deserves a aesthetical makeover, but it's such a big amount of work, and I don't have enough ideas to really pull it together. I feel like this lift would have to be quite a centerpiece. Like, heck, maybe even a dragon's mouth, but like that would be so ambitious. Because like I have this empty space here, so I could build something in the middle. Just like hanging off of this. But it's like I don't have an idea, like at least not one that's realizable with my skills of building. So for the most part, this is just the lower lift, which spreads out into this wall to be able to clear out that showcase room I showed you, because otherwise these lifts just go straight through the ground, and it was really ugly having those just go straight through the center of it. So that's why these lifts have to exist. It's to hug all of the belts along the front wall. And outside of that, it's just a bajillion particle accelerators and I forgot the names. The converter? No. The quantum encoders just all over the place. Unfortunately, the converter... not the converters. I already forgot the name. The quantum encoder beams just go flying straight through all the floors. And it's really unfortunate because they're so ugly. Like, all the beams just are so ugly and so unnecessarily large. But it kind of just is what it is. But like, as I said, this is all just Alien Power Matrix production related stuff. This is just crystal oscillators for the most part. For those. Then this is power shards. And the other side is superposition oscillators all the way out there. This brings you to kind of the lower end of the base, where it gets bigger because the foundation of the base is bigger than the top floors. The two bottom floors are much larger. It's just kind of where you get your first full view at the base here. I'll get a further view shortly. But as you can see, the base is like two-sized, so it has a foundation and then like an upper part. This is when we get to the big parts of the base, which are actually quite enclosed, intentionally that is. This area is very dense. Here is the actual Alien Power Matrix production, where they're being actually produced. Here is some of the production for it. I forgot what these are even called, bro. I have such bad memory as of recently. Sound fluctuators. This is the sound fluctuator production for that. And these two kind of just go along together, and then everything else is built elsewhere, so it's not super important. This room is not meant to be decorative at all. This is purely function of a floor. This is all just tier 9 production for various items. Then you have this, which I wanted to isolate out, but I never really did because I didn't find a good way to do it, which was the supercomputer production. I don't remember how much this is making, but all of these machines you see here, isolated in this green wall, is supercomputers. In fact, actually, I can tell you how much this is making. 4.687, so a full overclocked manufacturer of supercomputers. Then we get onto the spicy one, probably the most miserable outside of the Alien Power Matrix's production line in all of the game. Advanced aluminum. This is all advanced aluminum. Everything you see in this corner here is all to make 4 items. Everything you see here, 4 items. Heat sinks, turbo motors, no, not radio control units. Fuse modular frames, and what was the other one? I don't even remember. Cooling systems. All this to make that. It is an abysmal amount of machines required to make that, and I'm not going to go any closer into detail because it's going to take like 4 hours, and realistically no one cares. And then this kind of brings you to the main floor, which is arguably the most decorated floor. So let me just go from the entrance here. From the entrance, you have 2 ways down. This goes down to a hypertube that goes all the way to the top of the base rapidly if you don't feel like using the elevator. And then this side is the exit. So if you're coming all the way down, it shoots you right here and you hit this pole so you don't go flying. You can take this door, which is kind of a shortcut if you want to go into the inner workings. You can see some of the belts that go up to the roof here, kind of peeking through. But that's just a kind of quick access door. And then this is the actual main entrance. When you come in, you can see the 2 elevators and a third one. But you know what, actually, before we explore this area, I may as well showcase this one first. This is my conversion center, as I like to call it. And it does exactly what you'd expect a conversion center to do. It converts anything you put in it and automatically duplicates it for you. If I put a blue power slug in here, it automatically duplicates it using the summer sloops and plops it back out right here. Same for the DNA, so you just put in all the stuff you collect in here and it automatically gets duplicated as much as possible and thrown in here. This is a pretty simple process. It's just a bunch of constructors just behind the wall. You don't need to automate this kind of thing, but I did it just for the fun of it. As you can see, it's all back here. You're not really supposed to come back here, but I'll show it anyway. It's just a bunch of summer sloop constructors duplicating all of the various items, so you can see all the different power shards, as well as the different DNA, and then eventually the DNA capsules. So for DNA capsules, it's a 4x compared to crafting it regularly, and for power shards, you get twice the amount compared to crafting it by hand, which is an insanely useful thing to have in your world. If you don't realize how useful that is, you have not been playing this game. I guess let's come back to this floor. So we have this little thingy here, which is purely decorative and does nothing at all. Then you have the belts, as I like to call it, which is basically all of the starter production. So all of the belts carrying starter production stuff come through here. So I added a point where you can just see them all, and then here's the actual starter production itself. This production was my first production, and it is still standing after all this time, still producing away. This is a wall that is not done. So this is the center wall, which is hiding just an empty box, but to make the base feel a bit more dense and organized. And once you get out here, it's a lot less planned because I need to move a lot of these machines if I want to do this properly. However, the idea is there. This is like Tier 3 and 4 kind of stuff. So as you can see, you have the space elevator parts and advanced wiring and stuff. You have stators, rotors, motors. Once you get more into this direction, you have quartz and crystal oscillators. So this is when you kind of get started to get into real production. And then by far the biggest one being the one out here in this corner, going all the way out to all of this stuff right here, being heavy modular frames, which is still probably one of my favorite production lines I ever did in this world. Like, it's probably up there because I just love how clean it is. Just all the machines just lined up in this nice little corner. Hidden away, but not hidden enough that you never get to see it, kind of thing. And that's it for this corner. For this space here, I just added a bunch of batteries because I didn't really know what to do with it. And along this strip of train stations is the computer and rubber and plastic and all of that stuff, production, AI limiters, just all the stuff that needs, like, once you get into oil, pretty much, as well as deuterium. And then that's it for this area. My original coal plant is still in that corner, because I wanted to preserve it, but it's not actually doing anything, and it kind of looks ugly, to be honest. And then you have all of my original train stations that are inside the base. I have a lot more now, but these are all the original ones I put down that are actually inside the base itself. And all of these go to various locations, carrying various goods. Most of these old stations are just carrying stuff that go directly to the storage room. But a lot of the bigger ones that we'll get into probably in a bit here do a lot more production line stuff. It's just like bulk resource transport rather than finalized resource transport. And that's basically it for the actual base interior. It's not the most decorated base, and a lot of the floors are pretty empty, or just a lot of production, so it's actually pretty easy to get through this base. Here is a bit of a further away and better view of our base here. It actually looks pretty solid, considering how simple of a design it is. And as you can see, there's an extension on the left here with all of the train stations I was talking about. There's an insane amount of them. More of them are hidden behind this rock here. I guess I say insane. It's not that crazy. I think it's 10 of them. It actually isn't that insane, but it is a lot of them considering the size of some of them. So I guess let's just go straight to the left side of the base here. I mean, these train stations are pretty easy to cover, so let's just start here. And it's a good introductory to the railway system. So here you have six sets of 4 freight car train stations. And I think only 2 of these, or maybe even 1 of these stations actually is hooked up. But I built these stations so that they can bring back resources by drone. So in the desert, which we will probably see later, I have these drones here, and they load into stations, which then bring it all the way out to here. So these are resources being droned from inconvenient places to a central station in the desert, and then being brought back to here. And then this is the big ones. These are 5, I think? Yeah, 5 stations with 6 freight cars each. And these are bringing in limestone and coal for the Alien Power Matrix production. If you recall, or have been watching the series, you know that this is 20,000 coal per minute and was not an easy feat to do. Each one of these stations has 2 trains, 6 freight cars long, obviously, each. I don't remember how much per minute is going through each individual station, but I know it's a lot. And I have since decorated this area over here a bit, since people have seen it. So now this wall is done, the foundation below is done. And it has this cool little turnaround. Before, it would just go straight, but that would block the main railway. So in an attempt to block the main railway a little less, any trains slowing down to get up kind of slow down in this area a bit more. So they spend less time just sitting in the main rail. Will this train go in? No, it's a 4-train long train. I was about to just go on it and just go on the railway that way. I want to actually go clockwise instead, because I built all the factories along the railway in a clockwise order, so yeah. Here you just have the back of the base. It looks exactly the same as the front of the base, except that it doesn't have like as many pillars, because I wanted to keep it kind of empty. You have this utter turnaround and very complex railway system because of the sheer amount of traffic. For some reason, we happen to coincidentally be in between a wave of traffic, so there is nothing. But you can have as much as like 5 trains going through all of these railways at once, just all coming in at once. So you need to have a quite robust railway system. This train goes to deliver stuff over there. It's just rubber delivery. It's not important. But this just continues along as the railway. There's some supports under it. And this will bring us away from the main base and towards our first bit of production. If you follow this railway for long enough, the first structure you will run into is going to be the turbo fuel power plant, which is an area that we fairly recently, I would say, remastered and restored to look a little bit less messy. So I'll be right back once we get there. It's just over there, but I'm not gonna make you watch me walk all the way. Also, I hope any audio stuff is fine. I had to change headphones and it broke literally all of my audio settings when I had to update them and install their stupid software. So hopefully everything just works and I don't have to touch it. Because I am not redoing this video if it doesn't work. But this railway will bring you, it has a split, which we'll get into much later. But the main part of the railway keeps going around the entire map, and you will first reach, obviously, the turbo fuel plant. Any trains going into it will go around this scuffed loop, which I really should just remake, but you know, it is what it is. And into the station to load up on plastic and rubber, and I thought there was fabric at some point, but I think I changed which stations do that. All of the oil comes in here, and it goes along the floor, and all of it gets turned into fuel, and then that fuel gets turned into turbo fuel all the way out there. And then it comes back and goes into all of these fuel generators, which, by the way, are all fully overclocked. And I don't remember how much power this makes, but I'm tempted to say like 40,000, which is actually not that much. But oil power kind of just sucks, so it is what it is. And then any residues and polymer resin get turned into plastic and rubber with these refineries or awesome synced if it cannot find a place to go. And that is this factory. It is a very simple factory that honestly needs a bit more decoration still, but I'm overall happy with it. It just needs some touch-ups, as most of the external factories do. A lot of them were built in a rush, and then I've been slowly repatching them up and redecorating them better and better each time I pass by. So I've been doing them bit by bit. So a lot of them still are missing things that really should be improved. As you can see, here's a train coming into the station. This station, I believe, is also doubled up. Most of the far stations are doubled up. If you continue along the railway, which this is just more oil, so it's not super important. If you continue along the railway not too far from here in the rocky desert, you will find yourself upon the aluminum factory. Or I guess the original aluminum factory, because I now have a second one in the Dune desert. But you will find the train station here for all the various aluminum products. And as well as some water and plastic for some other things. You will find a coal plant getting rid of wastewater because it's free power, so why not? Instead of just trying to deal with the water, may as well just turn it into free power. You will then find some aluminum production, which is having issues, it would seem. Why are you having issues? I guess it's probably just been running for so long that it's not working anymore. That does happen eventually. Oh, it's short on the water. Oh, well, I guess I'll write it down and I'll come back and fix it later. I have noticed that some of my productions, after many hundreds of hours of running, have started to break just completely on their own. Even if the per minute values are all right, they just stop working properly and just start having issues. I don't know if it's recipe changes. Usually there's not that many recipe changes. I know there was encased industrial beams at some point. Like, why is all of this stopped? Oh, it's just full. No, why are you stopped? You should be building. This thing has no computers. Why do you have no computers? Like, this is what I mean. These production lines just break. Like, this should have computers. Where are they coming from? But yeah, this is the aluminum area. It's a pretty simple area, and you can see the railway that is unfinished that goes through the center of the map, which we'll get into later. That railway has not been decorated or complete, but it works, so I'm just leaving it. As you can see, the railway continues along back here, and it continues up until there, which is just a coal station, so I'm not going to cover it. It's literally just loading all the coal from that area. There's nothing eventful going on there. So we're going to keep going even further. See the trains going by. I'm surprised that... oh yeah, that train's going to that station. I was gonna say, I'm surprised there's a 6 freight car train going this way. Usually they don't come this far, but no, it's literally going to the station. This is the furthest station of the long trains. And there's its other doubled up boy coming in too. But yeah, here's the coal station. It is right next to the giant spider statue made of stone. And it is loading up a bunch of coal. And then when you go past it, you will come up upon another station, which is the one we're going to, which is a bit of aluminum stuff. Yeah, this area is all gas. I don't remember what this gas is called. I think it's called nitrogen gas. I haven't played the game production-wise in a long time outside of Alien Power Matrixes. So I don't even remember what the stuff is called. Nitrogen gas, yeah. There is quite a lot of nitrogen gas being pumped. I don't remember where it's going exactly. I just know all of it is being used up. It's been too long since I've built this station to remember what it's doing, because this was a station built within the first 100 hours that I have not touched because it has never broken, or at least affected anything meaningful if it has been broken this whole time. So I've just never had to touch it, so I have no idea what it does anymore. But it's there, and I'm not going to question what it's doing, because it's never caused issues that I've noticed. Then you're in it for the long haul, because there is nothing along this railway all the way up until you are in the Spire coast, which is all the way out there. You can see the arch, and you'll end up in nuclear and plastic heaven once you make it there, so I'll see you there. Obviously, you gotta admire the epic view. It is perfectly timed as we're coming by here. Absolute masterpiece of a view. If that isn't perfect, I don't know what is, honestly. But yeah, here is the Spire Coast. This biome I haven't done much with, mostly because I never extracted the oil out of it. I extracted a very slight amount to make plastic, which you can see the production for right here. Never came back to decorate this factory, so it is still just pure function. But it doesn't really need a decoration. I feel like oil production is kind of meant to be rough around the edges, and it doesn't really look bad. However, if I come back to this game, it will probably be me taking all the oil out of this area. I might do this on stream or something, because I want more excuses to stream. Taking all the oil out of this area that's left, and making another fuel plant with this huge empty space here, to try and hit 1,000,000 megawatts of power, because we're already at like 800,000, so it wouldn't be too hard. And then here's, I think this was probably the first mega project, or technically second, because the rod production came first, but second mega project on this save, which was nuclear power. 40 fully overclocked reactors of nuclear power, to be exact. Also, they redid the smoke effect on these things. That looks epic. But yeah, this build was very time consuming, and it is one of the few builds that I have no intent in ever coming back to decorate, because I think it just works as is. I think nuclear fits with having just the default foundations. And then all the water piping is just here. It is so much piping. I don't think you realize how much 40 pipes is until you've made a block out of 40 pipes. This is 10 pipes wide, 4 pipes tall, just all stacked on top of each other, all going at full beans. Or almost full beans, technically, because I actually downclocked these slightly. Oh damn, I never even overclocked these ones. I just completely forgot. Okay, well the original ones that I put down were clocked. I guess I just forgot. No, I did clock these. Oh no, they're clocked. Just this one isn't. Why are these not overclocked? What did I do to this poor production? Did they just get deleted? No, these all have shards. So basically, originally I put them all at 6,000 instead of 6,250. That way it wouldn't use the full 600 per water. But then me thinking I fully overclocked them, I came back later and took all the shards out of the last ones because I preferred the reliability over the extra power, assuming that I'd done 250, but no, that this could be overclocked too, because I already planned for this. I just didn't see my plan when trying to replan the plan whenever I was here last. So actually have just some wasted power right here, just waiting to be used. So I could bump that up later if I wanted to. I'm not going to fix it now because it's an honest mistake that I apparently made, and I'm just going to leave it because it's not actually a problem. I have like way too much power already, so instead of making more waste, I'm just going to leave it as is and act like it didn't exist. And this, conveniently, is going to take us right to the production where all the rods and the nuclear waste that this plant is running off of and producing is happening. This just goes along the railway for another quite a long time until you reach the Dune Desert, which is where all of our nuclear stuff is. Once you come in on the railway, you arrive to these doubled up stations. One of them is nuclear waste, which is this. The train was following us, so yeah, it's coming right up. So you can see, full of nuclear waste barrels. Not full, but 1,000 per freight car is quite a lot for a very short round trip. As you get into this area, the first thing you will probably notice is the ruined immersion of this building we built in episode 30. I never, unfortunately, had the time to come back and finish the other side. I ran out of time to do this episode, so I was trying to think of ways to have it still look finished, and one of the ways I could think of was to just do the cartoon 2D advantage of just not doing any of the 3D elements. Since everything we were doing was on this side, I only did one of the walls. I haven't had time to come back here, but I will finish this before if I ever want to leave this world forever, I will make sure to finish this. I am well aware that this is still an ongoing issue that needs fixing, but if you ignore that, here you have all of the manufacturers for the actual uranium fuel rods themselves. I'm not going to go over this whole production because it is very long as well. But there's however many it was. I don't remember how many it was, but there's a lot. And this area is just massive and spread out just all over the place. I redid that tower so it looks a bit better as well. It doesn't look as awkward and doesn't go out like 1,000,000 kilometers. And obviously, you saw this side of it in episode 30, the actually finished side of it in episode 30. And it looks awesome. But once this area is going to be fully done all around, it'll be even more awesome. And one part you didn't see, or I guess there's technically two parts you didn't see. You didn't see me put a couple extra batteries down here. That's one of the things you didn't see. I've just been putting batteries here with any excess wiring that I have. But another part you didn't see is the plutonium area, because I never actually showed it off. I built it after the video went up, when I had time again. It is just an empty building. I'm not going to over celebrate it. This building is just empty, which is why it's so enclosed, unlike the other one. It doesn't have any windows. If it would have had something in it, I would have put windows instead of concrete. But I figured it can act kind of as a classified, block down warehouse, since this is plutonium refinement after all. And it just kind of looks nice. But yeah, this is all of the plutonium refinement side of it. The actual production itself is still the exact same. The only difference and change is that there's now a giant building plopped on top of it. Outside of that, area hasn't changed much. The two things that did change, though, is that now there's another aluminum production chain under here. And over here, too. This one is making scrap for aluminum for some part in the alien power matrices. I forgot what it was for. I think it was for sheets or something. And then this is the few drones that I do actually have set up going into the desert stations I was talking about. The only one still remaining is a SAM station, and there was reminiscences of a bauxite station that I never did anything with. So that is what that is. Outside of that, there is this railway that needs decorating, which goes to a rubber freight platform and production line. This makes a bit of rubber for, once again, alien power matrix production. Needed some extra rubber that I didn't have, so made it right there. And that basically concludes the tour for the desert. The desert is a very big area, but just like the main base, it's all just massive production lines that can be summarized pretty quickly. So it's actually a lot less content than you might think. A lot of these big builds are just very time-consuming production lines, but when you're summarizing them, they're actually not too bad. This railway going up also I want to change up because I wanted this area to have like a gap in the middle, just like real monorail tracks, which are usually separated, like next to each other but separated. It looks ugly in this game. It doesn't look good like it does in real life, and I don't like it, so I'm gonna find a solution to fix this, and as soon as I do, I will redecorate this railway because it looks terrible. And yeah, that's that. Outside of that, there's just the main central railway that just goes across, like, around the entire map. There's nothing on that end, so it just actually goes from the stations I showed right back to here, so there's literally no point in me going onto that segment of it because there is nothing there. Outside of that, this brings us back out of the desert, which will bring us towards the swamp, which only has drones and nothing else, so the swamp is just more of a view from above more than anything. The swamp is another biome that I kind of should clear out all the excess foundations out of, but it's the swamp, so they're kind of useful to have whenever I go in there for any reason. So for the time being, I am leaving them. I'm just going to leave them, and if I ever want to remove them, I'll remove them. Here in the distance, you can see a bunch of belt paths in the Titan Forest, most of which are for SAM collection, but they look pretty good. I still need to decorate them a bit more, but once again, it's just a lot of time-consuming, tedious things that really need to be done, but they're low priority and there's a lot of them, so they're hard to just fix up because it takes so long. This will then bring us into this station, which is not really super eventful. The only eventful thing about it is that it's carrying a bunch of SAM for, once again, alien power matrix production, and this original station has coal for some kind of steel production, if I'm not mistaken. But this area looks pretty good. Showcased it pretty recently in the Nuclear Control Center episode, so I won't go too much into detail with it, but it's just collecting SAM and coal and acting as a decorative station. And then another thing that I haven't showcased, ignore the color, it's the wrong color. I accidentally used a preset that I already had assigned to something else. So I came back and all my pipes were green instead of blue because I used one of my pipe presets thinking it was a default preset. So now the bridge just needs to be repainted again because it's on a actually preset that's already used for something else. I need to change it to swatch 13 and then repaint the whole thing. But that bridge looks pretty cool when it does actually look in the correct color and isn't cyan. We built it recently. I don't think this video saw the light of day though, because it would have been uploaded today, but since it's the last upload I have of the year, I'd like to prioritize the world tour over this, because the video I scrapped was going to be me resuming what I did to fix the power augmenters and power matrix production and building this bridge after. But I scrapped it in exchange for a world tour, since I figured I'd love to do a world tour way more than just another regular episode as a finale. And that brings us almost full circle. There's one last thing, or technically two. One of them which I really want to just delete out of the face of the earth, which is the I think it's compacted coal production down there, which is not on grid, not lined up, all crooked and looks ugly. But I am not rebuilding it, so it's just gonna stay like that forever. And the original oil production, or technically the second original oil production, the one in the Spire Coast was the third, this was the second, and the one in the islands was the first. But this is getting oil for some later down production chains, if I recall, and it's got this cool bypass system, because this is when I started making my railways like road infrastructure in real life, because they started getting so horribly inefficient and jammed with traffic that I had to actually use real-world solutions to solve the traffic issues. But this area looks nice enough, considering a lot of this stuff, like all these ugly foundations, are not on grid, but are essential. So I can't do anything about it. And then it has just a giant ramp, and that's basically most of the world. We'll get into the center area, but that's just a couple train stations, so it won't take long. And then there's the giant tree, which it's also not going to take long. It's just impressive, but there's not much to explain other than the obvious. And I'll show you guys that, and then we'll get on to the obstacle in the room, I suppose you can call it. I don't know what to even explain, how to explain this thing, because I'm sure some of you guys watching this will not be nearly as advanced, and will just be watching this to see what actual people that play this, or what you assume to be talented people that play the game, how they're building things and stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be some less experienced players, and trying to explain a giant tree with a million trains on it to someone that does not know how impressive that actually is, is kind of difficult. So I'm keeping it for last. Alright, so once you get past the bridge, this will bring you into the Titan Forest, mostly because this was just the easiest point of access to the more centralized segments of the map. If you don't know where this is, proportionately, this is here. This railway goes through here and then loops kind of as a curve across the rocky desert. This doesn't have much eventful along it, other than train stations, because that's the entire reason it exists. It was just to get a bit of a closer, more centralized point to grab resources from. Mostly coal. All of these stations are coal. I think this one might have been one other resource, maybe. Oh yeah, no, this one was limestone and coal. Because we needed a little bit of limestone too. By a little, I mean like 8,000 per minute of it. And then it just keeps going, and there's one more station, which I did make an effort to decorate it, but it did not look good, so I just stopped halfway through. And now arguably it looks even worse. Yep, here is the train station. Or technically 3 of them, but it's basically one big station, carrying the bulk of the coal for the Alien Power Matrix production. It is a lot, and it is 3 stations worth. Yes, even this one, all the way out up front, is getting the coal from directly below itself. And I did make an effort to decorate it a bit, as you can see, but it doesn't look amazing by any means, but it does look like a station. I was hoping to put a roof on it, but I didn't really know how to do it right, so I just didn't. And then through the fog, the railway just goes down into the rocky desert and does its little curve. And this railway still needs supports. I just haven't done it because I don't really know how I want to do it, so into the utter pile of random stuff that isn't done it goes. And that's basically the world tour finished. That is basically everything actually important to the functionality of this thing. The only thing left is this abomination, which I guess I should probably finally explain its existence. If you haven't been watching, or weren't watching about a year ago when I built it, which I didn't even publicize it that much. It wasn't its own video. I streamed it a bit, so if you watched the one stream I did last year, you might have seen it early. But I made it to do a music video, and that just kind of never happened because it was literally impossible to finish in the time frame that I gave myself. And I was going to finish it this year and then kind of redeem myself, but I decided let's chill a little bit on the burnout, and I just didn't do it either. I still collected a bunch of ornaments, so I'll be able to progress on it if I ever come back, even if it's not Fixmas, but it is not done. This is a train that is 3,104 freight cars long, and as far as I'm aware is the record for the longest train in the game, because I have yet to be reached out by someone that has a bigger train than this. So if you have a bigger one, you can take the record back. I don't really want it. It's fun having it, but I'm tired of defending it, so you can have it if you're willing to spend the time beating it. The record's 3,104 at the moment. It's a lot, and this train is being filled with all ornaments for Fixmas. And it spins around the tree on autopilot, fully loaded up with ornaments. There's not much more than that. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it looks insane. I don't want to get up. I don't want to climb all the way to the top. But you get the idea. It is just a really large tree with rails going all around it, with a giant world records length train on it, acting as decoration. And then this is just to store it if I don't want it on the tree, which is honestly equally as crazy because it doesn't even fit in the storage fully. It is now longer than the storage. But yeah, that is my like 700 hour save. Yeah, 730 hour. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely a long and boring video, but I mean, some people like world tours, and you know what? If you got some inspiration out of this world tour, like I usually do from other people's games and worlds, I hope you make something cool out of it. If you get inspired by something you saw in this video, feel free to @, me on my Discord, which I'm in the Satisfactory Discord server, so feel free to @, me if you take some inspiration and put something in screenshots. I'd love to see what you make out of inspiration you might have collected from this, if you do. But outside of that, that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and world tour, and I hope you have a good New Year's, because this is coming out tomorrow on the 27th, I believe. So New Year's pretty close. And on January 1st, I will, hopefully, if I can get it finished, have a 5 years on YouTube team the video.